Hey.
Hey.
Hi, Brendan. Hey, Richard. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, how are you doing, Brendan? Hello? Can you hear me? Then I need you to talk to me. I need to set your level. I cannot hear you.
Is she on mute?
No, she's not on mute. Something's not working at her end. Elizabeth, talk to me.
I'm here. La, 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 la.
Very good. Very good. And is it just you and Brendan?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to get Brendan's mic working. Lips moving, but no sound. We're back to the 1920s, silent films.
Huh.
Nope, nothing.
Maybe without the earphones. What do you think? Is that making...
Well, I don't know. I mean, she needs to check her mic levels and her mic setting.
Maybe, Brendan, if you tried it without the earphones, sometimes if I have an outside source, it doesn't take. I don't know.
Or you could check your audio settings, your microphone settings to make sure you have the right one. So, whoa! I think she's rebooting or Zoom coming out and coming back in again. All right, she's coming back in, hopefully with audio.
Hi there. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, we hear you now. We don't
Perfect.
see you, though.
Do you need to see me?
It would be best.
I may not be able to do that because I've moved over to my phone. And usually when that is done, both the camera option and the option to hear sort of gerbils. It just doesn't really work out. We can try it for a minute, but I can tell you right now it's not going to work out.
Okay.
And Richard seems uptight, so we may not do this for very long.
I'm not uptight. I'm fine. I am just fine. Right, Elizabeth?
Yeah, Richard, this week I'm just dreading. We've got the week from hell. I have to have 2 teeth extracted tomorrow.
Oh, jeez. So is this running Friday?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, as soon as Brandon is ready. I love it. I love it. There you go.
Sorry, I'm trying to work 2 things here. Hang on 1 second. I'm sorry.
Your time. Take your time. We're not in a big rush here.
And then Bear had some kind of low or high, I guess, values for liver and pancreas.
Oh, boy.
And so we got to get a I had to look everywhere to see if I can get an ultrasound on Thursday for him, and
Goodness, Elizabeth.
that's worse than anything, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm.
Of course, he's 12, somewhere between 12 and 14.
And those
So,
types of dogs live how old usually?
well, Bark lived to be 18.
Ah, well, then, hey, let's keep a good thought and hope that it's nothing serious.
All
All
right,
right.
I'm good.
Hey, there you are. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right. Well, if we are ready, Elizabeth, I will roll the audio.
Okay.
All right. And I will give you hand signals for the other cues, okay? Here we go. Yeah, get out of here, Guy Rivera. Get out of here. All right, here we go, Elizabeth. In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Hello, 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 Santa Barbara. It's your chantress of everything valuable and beautiful, Elizabeth Stewart. And back in mid-October, I got an email from Brendan Briggs, and Brendan wrote me that she was going to be in a conference in New York City, and it had to do with artwork that was created in a style that's fairly new to you, I'm sure, dear listener, the NFT format. Brendan is an expert and an artist in this medium, and she's one of us. She lives here in Santa Barbara. But I thought, well, how cool is this? I mean, you don't really think of Santa Barbara as being the loci of the NFT world. Well, Brendan's going to bring us some insight into what her work is all about, and just a little bit of background about Brendan and also what she's up to. We're going to speak to her from New York City. She's at the NFT NYC conference, and she's there with her curatorial team, Searchlight. And how this happened is there's, I think, over 300 entries in a specific exhibition, and the exhibition really intrigued me. It has to do with masks, and we've been wearing masks for so long, so it has to do with masks. And they asked artists to create something that had to do with masking and the mask itself. And so the exhibition is called Mask Ephemera, or Ephemera, depending on if you pronounce it the Greek or the Roman way. That was showcased at the Edison Ballroom and the Palladium Center in Times Square. And that's where Brendan is speaking to us. Two groups are auctioning the non-fungible token material from the conference. One of them is Christie's, where I used to work. This also intrigued me. Other artists also are exhibiting in the Searchlight show. There's another branch of the show called Aphorism, which is a 40-year self-portrait digitally painted in 12 hours. And then it's edited down and it's presented at NFT form. And then a little bit about Brendan is she lives here on the Mesa in Santa Barbara, but she also is very active in the NFT community. She has weekly conversations in Clubhouse on NFT tips, artist spotlight on Fridays. And she supports artists who are undervalued and overlooked in the social media and NFT spotlight, I should say non-spotlight. So just a little bit background of why I became intrigued with speaking to Brendan, why this NFT conference is important. And I want to start off the hour by talking a little bit about how cool the topic is. So this Mask Ephemera exhibition that's done in a NFT format, that really intrigued me because, masks itself, I often think about masks when I walk down the street and I see everybody masked. And I think about the ritualization of masks. Many cultures use masks to come outside of themselves and be someone else. And this has been in the history of humanity. I mean, for as long as we've been human, is that we're covering our face or part of our face to become someone else. Why this really fits with the NFT world is because there's a lot of visual identities that are not you. So the idea is the mask masks you, but in many cases, with the new technology today, we have avatars that stand in for ourselves. So some of the themes that I'm thinking about here, Brendan, you know, disguise and disclosure and non-disclosure, and the fact that in many cases masks just allow us to see our eyes.
Mhm.
I've noticed that I really look at people's eyes more because they're wearing their mask. And then I think of mask as part of the entertainment culture from the Greek theater on and Commedia dell'arte. And then I also think of the mask, I mean, scarily in the Black Death, where, you know, the mask was this big bird-like kind of beak thing in which they held herbs to keep away the Black Death. So the idea of the pandemic and the mask and the entertainment and the ritual and all of that just intrigued me about what you're doing. But I wonder if you can talk a little bit about what you've been seeing in New York and about the Mask Ephemera exhibition. Tell me a little bit about your feelings on it.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me up. And it's really great to meet you face to face. I've watched some of your YouTube videos and they're pretty cool. Also, I want to just give a shout out to Nancy Earl, who actually connected you and I. Yeah, she's the one that sort of, you know, brought this to fruition. So
She's a Wonder Woman.
She's a very sweet lady. I really respect her. So I want to thank her. And also, I just have to give a quick shout out to my husband, Ryan Kunkel. Without him, I would never be here. And I don't mean that in the monetary sense at all. I just mean he is my muse. And if he were to pass away tomorrow, I probably would not do anything. So I just want to say that. And really quickly, you know, for someone who doesn't know or claims to not know about NFTs, you seem to know a lot, and that's pretty good. Like, wow, you're a quick study. You would be the perfect person to take through the how to create an NFT, how to catch a wallet, and how to purchase like tasers. Like, I could run you through that, and I'm pretty sure that I could get you set up within a day, and you would be able to like start your NFT world. Now, the Mask Ephemera is it was a themed gathering for the 300 artists. So we have roughly now we have like 350 artists in our pool to choose from, and so that was the theme. And we have extraordinary artists, such as in the NFT world, such as Quasar, Kelly Isiori, and Von D, and the Punks. I know you know who the Punks are. We also have Rare Pizzas, who also submitted, and you name it, the apes also submitted to this. So you name it, anybody that sold $1 billion NFT in the last week, we have, like, they are in our pool for selections. And it was really something to go through that and then develop reels for these live exhibitions. So you mentioned Aphorism. You got that spot on, save for the fact that Aphorism is my piece, and it is the exploration of someone's time, mainly mine, within a 40-year span, and what that looked like. So essentially, I submitted myself as an NFT. I painted it, and then I brought it to digital form, and then created layers into a reel, and then minted it, which makes it a 1.5 minute movie. And so what it is it's a look in time of my all the choices I've made in I think it was a 25 or 30 year span. So yeah, so that was my submission, and it got accepted, which was really interesting. That submission was submitted prior to my joining Searchlight. So they actually liked my work. They didn't just say, yeah, because you're a part of the team, no, there was no nepotism involved at all. It was just, we're like, yeah, this is really good, you're in. So that's my piece. And with so many different, I guess with so many different artists' pieces that were brought into this, I just wanted to do something different that had more to say about a lifetime of masking, as opposed to just the one horrific pandemic that we seem to be continuing to live through. So that was really more.
Okay, so I got a couple of questions. So the pieces, I think you're right. It's a minute and a half, or roughly a minute and a half, 1.13 minute film, and the piece is titled Aphorism. And you write that you woke up one morning and within a couple of hours you condensed 40 years into 1.13 minutes. And if I was thinking about that last night, Brendan, and what would the major themes, if I had to do that, what would the major themes be? And well, you disclosed that one of the major themes, I think that I heard it in the subtext, that part of your story of the 40 years that you condensed was the fact that you felt during those 40 years masked.
That
maybe your true self wasn't there, or that you were hiding behind something, or you felt.
Absolutely. Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. I tell the truth about everything. So I will say that I grew up really different than a lot of folks in Santa Barbara. I grew up with abuse in my household. I left at the age of 14 to continue school, my education. I worked at 5 different places. I lied about my age just to pay the rent in a little tiny, it was called back then like a rumpus room. This was in the 70s. And so I worked a bunch of jobs and I went to school and then fronted a punk rock band at that time. And what I learned immediately was that one of the ways to get things that didn't cost more money was to give of self freely. And what that means is, you can pretty much guess what that is. So the thing is that I didn't do that at that time. It was taken. And I think at 14, no child can make that kind of a decision where there's somebody that's like an actual adult who's 30 years old that confronts a 14-year-old and says, hey, if you have sex with me, you can live here for free. And hey, if you have sex with me, you can front this band. And hey, if you continue to have sex with me, you're gonna make it big. And I'm 14 and I believe it. And so that's sort of the beginning of the maps. And I found that I think that so many women so many women that I know go through this, where if you go there one time, that's all it's going to take to shift the dynamic of choice in your life, where you begin to realize that you don't have any more choices, and that since there aren't any more choices, the only way that you go is further down, and you continue to cross lines. And by continuing that, I went down a really, really crazy path. And although some of it was fun, a lot of it was a lot of different faces where anytime I would, like, it's really strange. Like anytime I'd go to dinner with someone, I would look at them and look at somebody that was happy, like a happy couple. And a happy couple to me didn't make any sense, in that happy couple was like, that can't be real. Like that doesn't exist. She's on the take, he's the John. Like there's no like, and how could they afford this? Like how could she afford this without being, so my mind was already like conditioned to think that way. And so I think that with that, you know, I was able to come up with this concept that hit me like on that day for Aphorism. It just was so easy to kind of go, I just do this because I have pictures. I have pictures in my mind that I can absolutely recreate and then run it through a process and do this. And as soon as I set my mind to do it, that it was nothing to just put it together in 12 hours.
So,
Yeah.
I want to ask, Richard's giving us a sign, we got to go to quick break, but I want to ask what it felt like to edit that. I know that one of your resume points is that you were also an editor, and I find that you know, in my own work, editing is the hardest thing to do. I mean, because it just seems so good and you got to cut it out. I had a professor once that said you have to kill your babies, basically, when you edit.
Yeah.
So when we get back from the break, you know, I'd love to talk to you about, and then maybe this idea of editing, it's so important to the creative process. And so maybe how other artists in the NFT field edit, how you observe that, how you're different, would be a cool thing to talk about. Okay, hey, Richard, let's go to quick break. Just reintroducing, a great honor to speak with Brendan Briggs. I'm speaking to her from Times Square in New York City, where she's attending a conference. A very, very select few NFT artists are there. Brendan is actually there from Santa Barbara. She lives in Santa Barbara, and it really intrigued me about her story. Very untypical Santa Barbara artist. I mean, Brendan, you're not out there on the beach painting plein air, are you? So,
no, I don't even know how to do that.
No, okay. We'll talk a little bit more to Brendan when we get back about her editing process and her creative process. Don't turn that down.
All right, here we go. Oh, you're going to step up? Okay.
Well, I was going to look and see where the dog went.
Oh, okay, real quick. Okay. You're in Times Square, is that right? Wow.
I am. I'm in Times Square, and I'm actually going to be shooting for the next 4 hours. I'm videoing the next 10 speakers
Wow.
at the Edison Ballroom. So yeah, that's cool.
I hear a lot
it's
of noise.
Really cool.
I hear a lot of noise in the back, but it's okay. It's okay. No,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no. It's all right. It's all right. No, I do not turn around and tell them to shut up. Okay. Please don't do that.
Oh, I wouldn't do that. No way.
Richard,
These people are putting up with me. Are you kidding? I can't do that.
if you feel the noise is distracting, we can go to just Brendan's phone, because there was a pretty
no, it's fine. It's fine. The ambiance is actually a good thing.
Okay.
Oh, good.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Here we go. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and I'm talking with artist Brendan Briggs. She lives here in Santa Barbara on the Mesa, but it came to my attention that actually through a mutual friend, I find out that Brendan was one of the very, very few artists that's chosen to attend the conference called Searchlight NFT NYC, which is a conference of artists, scientists, creators, intellectuals, philosophers, musicians, cross-cultural, big conference that works in the world of NFTs. And to prepare for this interview, of course, I had to call my 30-year-old son and say, well, what the heck? What are some of the salient topics? You know, this is not my world at all. But thematically, it intrigued me because there's an exhibition called Mask Ephemera, in which artists are showing their work relating to the mask. And that's sort of a part of our our whole presence today is our mask, and why that is important, or why that actually has such historical and cultural relevance. Brendan was telling me that her piece is called Aphorism, and it's a very intimate piece about her personal history, and that she put 40 years of her life down on tape, in which the main theme was, I have often felt masked myself. I mean, and she's not actually speaking in a literal context, but a psychological context. So my question to Brendan before the break was, okay, if you've condensed 40 hours or 40 years into 1.1 minute, what do you edit out?
That's for somebody like me, it's pretty easy. You just edit out the things that aren't as devastating as the moment that you know or can recollect when that change began, when you crossed over the line. So that was pretty easy to just be able to like go that way.
And then what about other artists? How do you see? I mean, because these clips are very small. So how do you see that they've actually edited their work?
So in terms of my work, okay. So what I can tell you is that I can just say this, that there were 25 rough drafts of images. And when I went through all of those images, I just pulled the ones that just that were too, I don't know, that just weren't tragic enough, right? So it was pretty simple for me. Like, I think that the idea behind this for me was, what is the worst thing that I've ever done? Like, what was the worst situation that I put myself in, right? Like, what could that have been? And was it devastating enough to make it relatable to other women that have gone through that? And then, of course, in every Hollywood, movie or storybook, there's a happy ending, and there actually is a happy ending in this 1.13 minute movie. There's a happy ending, and it actually goes beyond the meeting the guy and having that symbol. That symbol is just a representation of the storyline that we as little girls are told, in terms of like Cinderella. Prince comes, takes you away. Well, that's not exactly what happened, but I wanted to show that aspect because my husband ultimately is my muse. And why not celebrate, the marriage, and why not celebrate the resurrection in that way? So I just felt like the edits were, let's not take all the darkness and make it all about just, these horrible choices, but let's bring in a little bit of light in the end, and just take out the heaviest bits about it and condense it.
So this is a question there's just to put this in context for the listeners. So there were 322 submissions for the Masked Ephemera collection, and this is from artists from 25 countries. Out of those 25 countries, from the 322, 142 artwork were selected. And so you've got 142 that are going to show in the show in Times Square at the NFT conference. And my question is, are they all narrative like yours? I mean, yours has got a narrative arc. Are they all narrative?
Some are, but a lot aren't. There's a lot of what's called collectibles, and what a collectible is it's one image where it could be like a pill, like or it could be a pig or a cat or a frog. There's a group called Frogland, and it is an image of a frog. It's the same image, and it's hand rendered into different layers through, I would imagine, Photoshop and AI. And so when you take that one image and then you reproduce it with all of that technology, it then changes the image to creepy frog, funny frog, happy frog, sad frog, a billion different frogs. So in that light, that tells a story. One frog, 1,000 different ways. So that becomes a collectible. Now, that's everywhere here. So, and that's probably the most popular way to create an NFT, because people want to produce mass. And then what happens when you produce one image massively, you get a grip of people behind the project. So you bring a community together like this. And the community is so happy to be a community that a lot of these people don't do this for money. They do this because they love the project so much and they want to see this thing become successful. I mean, I don't know, don't quote me on this, but I assume that may have happened with the punk, the punk group and the apes, pardon me, the apes. So I think that's how most people work.
So I just want to say that the interesting thing, and you're talking about the collaborative nature.
Right.
I looked into who Searchlight was, what Searchlight was, and of course the conference is Searchlight NFT New York City. And so who's Searchlight? Well, I found out it's a community-led curatorial body
Right.
that jury the artist submissions, and
Exactly.
some of them collect and some of them are associated with businesses that collect, and some of them are just interested in basically, you think, well, it's the former painters of the world that have come into the NFT world that are on this Searchlight community group, but it's not. It's a group of artists and scientists and collectors and philosophers, and they've got a mission statement, which is super interesting because their mission statement is to strengthen the NFT community to change the world for the better. Now, this is my next question, Brendan. So the community intends to change the world for the better. And the question I have for you, is it because of the content of the images? Is it because of the way that the images are produced, the spirit, the philosophy? Because I know, for example, if we take an example you gave us of the frogs, how is that changing the world for the better? And so,
Right.
The idea is it a, what they call a moralistic lesson in the NFT? Is it a visual lesson? Is enjoyment enough to change the world for the better? Or maybe my mind was going here last night about 2 a.m. I wonder if it's because the nature of the collaboration, that the collaboration is diverse and cross, spectrums, cross creatives. Maybe that's part of the changing the world for the better. Hey, Richard.
Yes, Elizabeth.
There you are. Okay, so I'm going to let Brendan think about that question. How Searchlight intends to change the world for the better through art. That's a hefty mission statement, because usually an artist is involved in the ego. I mean, you really can't create without an ego. So the artist is involved in a real ego pursuit, for good and ill. I mean, I think of the great artists like Picasso, a total egocentric, would not have anything to do with collaboration. And how this kind of NFT world is different is what I'm driving at. How do we need to have it change the world, Brendan? Okay, Richard, let's go to break. Brendan's going to answer that when we get back from the break.
Can't wait.
Good, very good. But Brendan, I'm sorry, but that job has already been taken. My program, Tell Me Your Story, we're going to change the world. Okay, so you can do something else. We're going to change the world.
Maybe we can make it a collaborative effort.
No, I want to do it myself. I want to do it myself. Congratulations on that. That's a fantastic goal.
Thanks.
That's what we've been trying to do for 14 plus years, and I honestly do believe that we are all making it better for everybody. That's what I really want.
Yeah, yeah.
Elizabeth, we still have two more breaks to take, and we're at 28 minutes. So we need to do these. When I give you these signals, I know you've got lots that you want her to say and everything, but we need to kind of break it at least.
Move it along. I know.
You got it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm sort of the ringmaster with the chair and the whip.
Got it. Got it.
Elizabeth, are you ready?
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and I'm speaking with Brendan Briggs from New York City, from Times Square. And she's involved in a very exclusive group of artists in a conference called Searchlight NFT. And we're talking about non-fungible tokens here, which is a new platform, a new media. And you might have heard that certain sales of these have made a whole lot of money. And the idea is, what they are. And I want Brendan to talk about what they are. And Brendan is the CEO of JBR Visuals. She's an artist and she's a musician. She's a portrait artist, a video producer, editor, marketer, but most importantly, in her bio, it says collaborator. And so this really got my attention because I'm an art historian, appraiser of art for 30 years. Most of the artists that I have appraised, and I've appraised some pretty fantastic works, $1 million works and more in my career. And these people are not known to be collaborators, just the opposite. They don't, they come from a certain cultural time. They come from a school, usually, school meaning a genre. So they come from school of, but then they do something that's so unique within that genre that it launches them into another arena. So it's a very individualistic, egocentric approach. So I guess my question, Brendan, is how does your world differ from that?
So I think that in the platform originally, like as soon as you enter into, say, a clubhouse room, the first thing that goes is your ego, because creating an NFT, we all start at the same level. We all have to learn the process first. And even when you've learned the process, that ego is still gone, because what's happening here is that everybody is learning, right? And everyone's learning at different levels, and everyone is there to help one another. We give of this service freely. Nobody's making money on this. So immediately that ego is just gone. So I think then what happens is you find, because it's not a competitive space, much like galleries are. I have to say that my own experiences with galleries, the very last experience I had, I've completely resigned to entering into a gallery space, and that's why, because it's not about even just decency and kindness. It's about ego, and it's hard to be around that for too long. For me, anyway. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, it's not a space that I want to be in. So immediately you find out that you're with people that are like-minded, that are all willing to help out one another, that are willing to share their findings and what they've learned. And we all pretty much give time to the clubhouse rooms, whether it's by assisting in how to open up a wallet, whether it's a Taser wallet or a MetaMask wallet, whatever wallet it is, to creating an NFT, to curating a room, to curating a gallery filled with NFTs, there's also rooms that talk about financial, like what the finances are behind it. There's attorney NFT rooms. Also, at all of these talks, these conversations are people just offering up information. So when you enter that space, you immediately just go, man, ego has no place here. And it's almost like you found your people, but then when you actually go to see them in real life, the real life experience becomes just astronomical in that it's surreal, because you don't expect that, right? Like when you do things online, you don't expect to ever see these people. So you can get away with, if you're that kind of person, a moral, immoral indecency. But here it's like you want to help out and you want to be on your best at all times, because it takes 1 second to be kind. And in this world, you want to practice those behaviors. So that's the hugest difference between, this and like a gallery experience or, painter. I get it. Like, I get that. And, but it's not, that has no place here. So it's different. It's totally different.
I'm going to go to break, but one of the questions that I wanted to ask was, I was looking in your body of work and papers and research that you sent me. I was looking for what I generally see as in a heading in bold, artist statement.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a resume, pulling together an appraisal. I'm looking for an artist statement. And in this case, I got the response that you were the sum total of all the people you had met. And I'm wondering to have that explained better. So if that is true of life itself, or just in the case of your artwork. So that's a question when we get back from the break. Hey, Richard.
Yes, Elizabeth.
Let's go to quick break. Reintroducing Brendan Briggs. I'm speaking to her from Times Square, New York City, in which she is a Santa Barbara artist partaking of a very exclusive conference in which 142 works of art are being shown of the media NFT. Don't turn that down.
All right, very good. And by the way, Brendan, I love that concept that Elizabeth just alluded to. And I myself take the perspective that I wouldn't be here right now with you and Elizabeth doing what I'm doing if it hadn't been for the thousands, literally thousands of people responsible for getting me where I am. So I like that what was the slogan or the phrase again?
I am the sum total of everyone I've ever met.
Oh,
and that's, you know who said that?
Wow.
Wait, don't tell us now.
Don't say
Let's
it.
get it
Funny,
fresh on
though.
you.
No.
It's pretty funny.
Okay, well, you're going to share it with Elizabeth, but I love it. I love it. All right, here we go. One more break to go. All right, and you still have 10, 12 minutes. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and I have the pleasure of speaking with our local artist in Santa Barbara, Brendan Briggs, who was chosen to attend Searchlight NFT NYC conference. And she's speaking to me today from Times Square in New York City. And we're talking about what the artist looks like that's an NFT media artist. So what does that artist look like? And Brendan was telling me that artist has left their ego at the door. And I'm trying to understand how that's possible, because I come from 30 years of being in the art world, which is very, very egocentric. And I'm talking about all the arts here. Dance is in my background as well, in theater, and there's just some egos that you would not believe. So in what Brendan is describing is that when her people get together and talk about a project, there's a learning curve which deflates the ego, because nobody knows about this media much yet. So everybody's ego is immediately deflated. And so for this interview, I was looking to find Brendan's artist statement. Usually an artist resume will include a very top statement, artist statement. So I did find an artist statement from Brendan, was that she is, as a creative individual, the sum total of all the people in her life. My question was, how does that differ from the general life that everybody naturally is the sum total of all the people that one meets? Or maybe it's interlaced. I don't know. Brenda, talk to me.
Well, first of all, that statement, I didn't make that up. That statement was, I think, Sylvester Stallone is the one that made that statement up. And I just love it so much that my husband and I used it on our thank you cards when we got married. But it's true. I think it takes a village to put together like Humpty Dumpty. So it took a village to put me together to become the woman that I never knew that I could be, but that the woman that I've become, that is morally inept and is morally integral, and that to me means everything. And that didn't happen on my own, because if it had happened on my own, that wouldn't have happened, and I would have killed myself about 23 years ago. So like none of this is my doing. Everything that I see and have done is because of an image somebody else showed me, or somebody else did. And I took all the things that were good in those people, and I've just put myself back together piece by piece. So yeah, that's my statement. Yeah. And
but I gotta say, looking at your artwork, these are not images that came from anybody else. These images came from you. So I'm thinking specifically, you know, you have a lot to say about the cat as an animal. So, you know, the theme of the cat, and you have a lot to say about architecture and cities. You know, I'm thinking of a piece you did called Hope in New York. And then a lot to say about relatives that are blood relatives or close friends, like a piece you did called Nanas in the Hood. And so, you know, then a really cool piece you did about, now that you're in New York, the Dow dropped, which is the Empire, or sorry, the Statue of Liberty with a mask on. So, you know, these are images that I did not see that were relational. And so, although you're speaking of the images of the people in your life who were inspirational, that you took pieces of and built your own piece back together as a person, your images as a creative person are very different from that. So how do you explain that?
So I think that
Let's go to break.
Yep.
Go ahead and go to break. Take us to break.
Let's go to quick break. We're going to get Brendan back. We lost our sound for a few minutes from New York City. Don't turn that dial. Back in a minute.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll have you ask that question, and then I will edit it.
How do you explain that? Yeah, got it.
Okay. Let's do this. And take that out, and let's do this.
How do you explain that? Let's go to quick break. We're going to get Brendan back. We lost our sound for a few minutes from New York City. Don't that. Let's go to quick break. We're going to get.
Okay. There we go. Okay, there she is. She's coming back, and I'm just about ready too. All right.
Back in a minute. Back in a.
And this is our final segment. All right.
Hi, so sorry. Hey.
No worries. No worries. We're going to come back with the final segment. She's going to ask you that question again. Okay. Elizabeth, here we go. You have 5 minutes. 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Welcome back. I'm speaking with Brendan Briggs. She's a Santa Barbara-based artist, but she's one of the few chosen to participate in the Searchlight NFT conference in New York City. And she's speaking to us today from Times Square. And she's about ready to film a whole bunch of people presenting a whole lot of interesting ideas. I have one final question for Brendan, which is based on her artist statement that she's the sum total of all the people in her life. And my question was, when I looked at her works of art, certain of them, and we named a few titles, there's a great theme in her art of the cat, and she looks at the cat in a really different way than I've seen it before in the history of art. And she also looks at architecture in a super unique way. And she also looks at, there's one particular image of a piece called Nana. Nana's in the hood. So it's a grandmotherly figure in the neighborhood, etc. And so my question is, okay, the imagery is unique, but you're attributing the image to a lot of different people in your life. So how do you make that assimilation?
Right. So that's pretty easy. It's really good to reflect upon death of self. So the images that I portray when I look at like the Statue of Liberty, my grandmother's place, the way that kitties, that whole kitty collection, there's, I like to reflect on where I came from. And I like to, like, for instance, my Nana's in the hood. My grandmother did live in the hood. She's broke poor. That's a story that's unbelievable. I thought my story was bad. My grandmother was sold in the 40s for a 12-pack of beer to a man who then, they had a life together. They raised 7 kids together. Like, and that was in Puerto Rico. Like that kind of story is just like, wow. So my, when I painted that piece, it was like, yeah, this is, it's great to remember that, like where I come from, what those roots are. I look at things in a tragic form so that I remember today what I have and how grateful my life is, and how grateful to have met all of the other people in my life right now that inspire me to do really amazing things.
So, okay, we got 2 minutes, and I want you to explain what blockchain is.
Oh, okay. So okay. So the blockchain is essentially this. If you take a checking account and like a bank teller, and you go to the bank and you do all those transactions, right? We have to learn what that is, right? So the blockchain is when you remove all of those pieces, right? Like those people that help you to do all of that. When you remove the ledger and you remove who made that ledger, the blockchain is that ledger. And the way that your funds go through is through the blockchain. You then become the banker, the teller, the depositor, and the ledger. So that's what's so interesting about, to me, decentralization and sovereignty. I don't even know if that's a word, but sovereignship, right? Because when you decide to do this, you are in charge of your money. You're in charge of your creation, and there's no fees. There's no crazy. It's just you, your money, and the tokens you create, or NFTs.
Well, Brendan, thank you very much for speaking with us, and congratulations on the conference. And let's continue when you get back in town. I've been speaking with Brendan Briggs, who is in New York City in Times Square attending the Searchlight NFT conference. She is representing her own company. She's the CEO of JBR Visuals and a visual artist on many, many levels, a creative on many levels. Thank you for speaking with us, Brendan.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day. Thank you.
And now I understand NFT stands for no funds today. Brendan, fantastic.
That's only in the real world. That's not in the NFT world.
Well, actually, it's interesting because I had a client that suggested that it could stand for no federal funds. or no federal taxation. And it was like, nah, I don't think so. I think
Nah,
you get
that's not true.
taxed on the profit, so there's
You do
part
get
of the
taxed on the profit.
blockchain, which has been blocked out right there. I mean, there's always the IRS. You can't
Yeah,
get them
That's
off
right.
the,
That's right. They just remember the IRS is your friend.
no, they're not. Look,
You know I'm kidding.
well, I
Okay.
do so much work, I'm on the art advisory panel there, the IRS, and because there's a lot of my clients are making contributions to museums, and so there's a tax deductible part of that. So I do a lot of that appraisal work, and the thing that people don't realize about the IRS is that they know a lot. And people think, well, I can skate around this, I can skate around that.
No,
They really know a lot, and
they
so
Yeah.
there's no skating around.
no
So
skating.
Yeah.
anyway,
No skating. All
no,
right. Ladies, thank you so much. Elizabeth,
Thank
I will
you.
have this set for Friday.
Friday, yeah, we're gonna air it at 10 a.m. on Friday. It'll re-air at 8 p.m. that night and 11 on Sunday.
All right.
On
Fantastic.
what station? is
Well,
that?
I'll send you the link, and you can
Oh,
use it
cool.
however you want.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, so you can
Okay.
put it on your website or whatever. But yeah,
Cool.
it can live in perpetuity once we send you the link, Brendan.
There you
So
go.
can I